Hey everybody, it's Janice with Creating Through Chaos. I'm going to start this project off with this canvas from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to cut off around the back and cut that front piece off. Then I'm going to peel all those other pieces off, and then I'm going to pull out all the staples. And I just pull out the staples by pushing a screwdriver under them, kind of wiggling it around, and then pull it out with a pair of pliers. So I tried to just do it with the pliers, and it didn't work, so I'm just going to grab a screwdriver and just put it under there, and then I went around and did the whole thing. And I just kind of loosened a bunch of them and then pulled them all out. Super simple. Took me less than a couple of minutes. And you can use a square frame if you have one. I just chose this because I liked the shape of it. I had it on hand and it was cheap. So next I'm going to take my antique wax and I am going to cover the whole entire frame here with the antique wax. It's already dark, but I needed it to be a little bit darker. So I'm just going to go around and do the whole thing. I did the front, the back, the sides, just making sure that I got every part of it. Once I have that all stained, I am going to set that aside, and I'm going to take these two little wheels. They're just wooden wheels. You can get these at Hobby Lobby. I had these on hand from another project, and they just have a hole in the center, but they're going to make good for legs for this project. So I'm just going to give those a coat of stain as well. Then once they were all stained and dry and everything was dry, I'm going to glue those to the bottom of the frame. So I'm just going to put some glue here. And I'm going to set that down on there and make sure that it's even. And then I'm going to add the other one to the other side. Again, making sure that it lines up with the other one and that it's centered on the frame. I just did one on each end. And that's going to make this so this stands on its own. Once I have those little legs on there and that is all set, I am going to start by giving this a coat of white paint. I think I ended up doing 2 coats on this. And I'm just going to paint the entire thing. Legs, the back, the sides, everywhere, the whole thing. I get a lot of questions of why I painted over what I just stained. I do that because when I go to sand off at the edges and things, you see the dark color come through and not the unfinished wood. So like I said, I'm just going to go around and make sure that this is all covered. And then let that fully dry. And now I am going to take my sander and I'm going to go around and sand the edges. And now this is where you'll see that I'm lightly sanding and you're going to just bring that stain color back out to give it a rustic look. So I'm just doing this all the way around. I even did the 2 little feet. Then I'm going to take this home cutout. This is from Walmart, I believe. And I'm going to take some black paint, and I'm just going to paint the front of that. And I'm just using a pouncer to just apply the paint, just kind of rubbing it along the whole thing, making sure that I don't get it everywhere else. I mean, you can paint the whole thing if you want to, but I just wanted the very front part of it painted. So I'm just going to make sure that I get all the way around. Again, just using that pouncer, just kind of rubbing it on. And then I'm going to set that aside and let that dry too. Next, I'm going to take a tile from Dollar Tree. And this is one of those raised tiles. And I didn't cut it or anything. It's still on its backing. And I'm going to paint a large area in the center with some white paint. And I believe I used white chalk paint here. And I'm just going to go around and make sure that I get that whole thing covered. I did 2 coats to make sure that I couldn't see the background. And again, just going close to the edge and all the way around. I'm not doing the whole entire tile. But I did this because it's easier to do before I cut it and before all those things. So I'm just going to paint it like it is. And I get that fully covered and then let that fully dry. Once that was fully dry, I'm going to take that same pouncer that I used on the home sign. And I'm going to add some black paint to that. And I'm going to go around and hit all of the raised panel on this whole tile all the way around. So just kind of lightly brushing. You don't want to press down, just kind of going over the top of it, just so you get just the raised panel. And I'm doing this all the way around. And I'm just kind of guesstimating the area that I'm going to need for my frame. And if you need more, then you could paint more. If you need less, then, obviously you can paint less. And just see how that brings all of that back out after you painted it that white color. Once I have that all painted, I am going to take that canvas that we just did, and I'm going to lay that right on top of the tile. And then I'm going to make sure it's centered in there in the center of the tile. And then I'm just going to trace around it with a pencil. And then I'm going to cut that out. Just cut that all the way around. And this is why I did the painting and everything before, because once I cut it, it's going to be a little bit harder to paint. But also, I know where the exact center of the tile was. I wanted all of the raised panels to be kind of lined up behind the frame. So I'm just going to get rid of those excess pieces. Now I'm just left with this backing. And then I took a little bit more of that black and went around to all the edges just to make sure that once I put it on the frame that you can't see it. You know, you wouldn't see just the white, you would see the black on that as well. So once I have that all on there, I'm going to take and line this up with the back. Making sure that I cut it correctly. You can trim it if you need. And then I'm just going to take some E6000 glue. I'm going to go all the way around the edge of the frame here. And then I'm going to lay that tile on, and then I'm just going to let that dry. You can set something heavy on it or whatever you need. Make sure that it's all even in the center, and then I'm just going to let that dry just like that. Once I have that all dried on there, I'm going to take our home sign that we did, and I'm going to put some glue on the bottom of it. And I decided I was going to use hot glue, but I decided not to. I decided to use some like Aleene's tacky glue. I'm just going to add that to the bottom here. And then I'm going to put that right on the frame bottom and then press that down. So it's just going to sit on the edge of that frame. That's why I used a square frame that has like a little ledge. That's why I thought the canvas would be the perfect option for that. Next, I'm going to take this little glass bottle. They're from Dollar Tree. They have a little cork in them. They come in different sizes. This is like the medium-sized one. And then I'm going to take some twine. I wrapped it around a couple of times, brought it to the front, tied it off with like kind of a half knot. And then I'm going to take this little key that I had, and I'm going to slide that on one side. And then I'm going to tie that in a knot in the center. Hold that key right in place. And then I'm just going to cut off that excess. So just give that a little trim, and then I'm going to leave that just like that. Next, I'm going to take some hot glue. I'm going to glue that right next to the home that we just put on the bottom of that frame. And then I'm just going to add some greenery, and it had little white florals in it. And I'm just going to shove that inside of that little vial that we used. And that is it. This project is finished. I think this turned out so super cute, and I absolutely love it. I love the farmhouse look of it, but it also has a rustic vibe too. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspires you to make one. And as always, don't forget to spread the chaos.